teacher is female. Hello, how are you doing? This is Marina Teplova and the podcast Girl Power, where we discuss women's most important issues. Do you know that in the Global Gender Gap Index compiled by the World Economic Forum, Russia ranks 61st out of 186 countries, and this position is gradually worsening. Academic environment seriously affects our mindset, as late teens and early 20s are the final steps in the personality formation. I decided to see how sexist is Russian academic environment by conducting a survey, interviewing students and experts, and trying to analyze the data. I started my research by conducting a survey among MGIMO students. Everything was anonymous, so the results reflect the current situation as accurately as possible. 300 people were asked if they have ever faced sexism in their academic environment, and some of them kindly agreed to share their stories. The results were quite shocking even for me, and I am quite aware of women's issues in Russia. 70% of respondents admitted that they have experienced sexism in MGIMO University. If we combine this and the fact that the survey was conducted among both men and women, and according to the modern feminist theory, we know that men do not experience any discrimination based on their gender, we'll see that almost every woman in MGIMO University has been discriminated at least once just because she's a woman. I'm gonna read out stories that most shocked me. All of them were shared anonymously. I didn't edit any stories. However, in order to respect privacy of the people who were accused of being sexist, I cut out their names. My first-year professor used to make disgusting jokes about pretty female students who distracted him from his work. There were actually rumors about him that he generally liked to harass female students, and when he became my thesis advisor, I always tried to talk to him in the halls, just to avoid going to his office alone. One of my professors constantly joked about my body and breasts in a sexual context. It made me feel dirty. Some professors make sexist remarks and jokes all the time. The most common one is that a girl's main goal in life is to marry well, and her career is not so important. When given grades and in general during the classes, some professors give preferences, sometimes unconcealed, to a certain gender. Most often, it's expressed in the fact that professors pity girls because they think that they are less smart than guys. Sexism is all over MGIMO University. From male professors who ask quite seriously and aggressively why we came here if we are not capable of learning and our place is in the kitchen, to the professors who would give us an A because we looked beautiful, had long legs, and didn't need education anyway. So, let's move to the interviews. I asked 7 MGIMO students the same question on feminism and women's issues. To keep my guests safe, I decided to make my interviews remote. Let's see what they think. Do you consider yourself a feminist or a pro-feminist?
Yes, I consider myself a feminist, but not a radical one actually, because I don't advocate for matriarchy, for example.
I would say I'm not a feminist, I'm not contra-feminist, I would say I'm a neutral.
I cannot call myself a feminist because I've never delved into this issue. But sometimes my friends tell me that I have feminist views on certain things and I believe them.
I consider myself a pro-feminist, but not so active one.
I don't consider myself as a feminist.
I definitely do consider myself a pro-feminist.
Yes, I'm a radical feminist.
Why or why not?
I want to be treated equally with men, and I don't want to be perceived only as an object of some sexual desire.
A woman in today's society faces so many hardships that a man just cannot comprehend. They can vary from basic insults, offensive statements, to literal physical violence.
I can't agree with many ideas of feminism and I don't like them. So I can say that I'm neither a feminist nor a sexist.
I want justice for women who have been oppressed for centuries.
Have you ever faced sexism in your academic environment?
I've never faced sexism directed at me personally in the university. However, many our professors allow themselves some sexist statements during our lectures or seminars.
I have never faced sexism in my academic life or environment.
Of course, I have often come across sexism at my university because I study at the Department of International Journalism, where there are only girls. And some teachers like to say that you are girls, just learn to cook and everything will be fine.
I have not experienced sexism in my academic environment, but my groupmate, she has. As she told me during the studies, when the lecturer told the girls who are studying in GIMO, their main goal here is to find a good husband and to be a successful wife.
I had to face with some cases of sexism while studying at GIMO, and it usually were some sexist jokes from our male teachers.
I have faced sexism many times in my academic environment. Of course, not directed towards me, but towards the girls in my academic group. Many professors were just blatant sexists, and they allowed themselves to speak out about how girls will never get a job as good as boys will, how a woman is just not suited for the profession that we're trying to master.
I face sexism every day. I hate all the professors who tell us to go back to the kitchen or making unwanted comments about our appearance.
Do you think that professors who are sexist should face any form of punishment?
I believe not only sexist professors should be punished, but also all professors that are talking some bullshit.
Surely, I think that professors who are sexist should face some form of punishment. As I said, maybe they should be fired or should be punished in some other forms.
I think that teachers who allow themselves to speak such words should be punished. They're professionals and must follow ethical rules. But I think that no one will punish them for it. These are our modern realities. And let them speak what they want. It's on their conscience.
Yes, I think that professors who are guilty of such sexism and more the professors who are guilty in harassment, as it was in Moscow State University about a year ago, should be charged and expelled from the university. But it is about harassment. But I don't support this kind of hate culture in Western where you can tell a sexist joke and then you will be banned from Twitter, you will be expelled from university, and you will be fired from your job.
I don't think that they deserve any punishment because it is just a bad sense of humor and nothing serious.
I believe that, of course, disciplinary measures should be taken against those who allow sexist behavior. Every professor must follow certain norms of morale and ethics, and if he fails to do so, then he should face the consequences. From being penalized by the university, it might affect their salary, to even getting fired. If nothing helps, the last resort is to fire a person who fails to behave properly.
I think that sexist professors should be fired immediately and banned from ever working in the field of education.
What do experts think about it? I asked Anastasia Kay, who is currently getting her degree in women's studies and feminist theory in the University of Cologne, Germany.
I believe that radical measures should be taken to eradicate sexism that is deeply rooted in GIMO academic environment. Firstly, quotas should be introduced in order to even the chances of men and women to succeed in the academic sphere. As you might have noticed, there are plenty of female professors in GIMO. However, they are not as respected as men. Look at the most famous GIMO professors, Isaev, Vazimsky, Legoita. They all share two things, a gender and a self-centered personality as they enjoy living in the patriarchy. If we introduce special educational programs for women only, they can become just as respected as white cisgender males who think that they make the world go round.
That was all for today's episode. But what do you think? Share your opinion with me by sending an email to girlpowerpodcast@gmail.com. You can also suggest topics for the next episodes. This was Marina Teplova and Girl Power Podcast. The next episode on intersectional feminist theory will be out in a week. Stay tuned. Bye. Girl Power. Girl Power. Girl Power. The future is female.